I always have looked for the best in people and trying to extract that and get them to use it. Helping other people become the best they can be. That's the real goal.
At Bob's core, he is a genuinely good person.
Even when you meet him for the first time, there's a feeling like you've known him forever.
He is one of the most humble person I know, but he carried this weight that you say, wow, I would like to know him.
He really embodies the idea of what it means to be in service of other people.
That is Bob's character, is to be helpful, to be honest, and to have a high degree of integrity in what he does.
He wants to provide the people the help that he didn't have, to give them help in managing their life and becoming a better person.
Bob is much more than a financial advisor. He's a financial counselor or maybe a financial therapist.
He meets people where they are and what they need. And if that means not charging for service, he'll do that because that's not the most important thing to him. The most important thing to him is how to serve others, where they are and where they need help.
He's not someone who's just going to stay in his lane. He's going to branch out to wherever the people are that either need the help or the people that he can connect with.
He will find time to be a mentor, to take somebody and alter the arc and the course of their path through life.
He wants to inspire others to be better people across the board.
He makes you feel that warm, fuzzy feeling inside where you can really believe that you can do anything.
He was one of the very few investors who believed in sustainable investing. That really showed how much he cares about really making an impact on people's lives by doing the right thing.
He always said that he wanted to leave the world a better place. He certainly accomplished that with us. You know, we feel like we were in a better place because of Bob.
He's just been a constant throughout our life together that we've come to rely on.
A bit of a foundation.
Wouldn't Bob want to know that he was a foundation?
Common Interest is a family wealth management firm specializing in sustainable, responsible, and impact investing. We're a certified B Corp, and we're very proud to serve clients across, well, let's say every spectrum that exists, including the spectrum of wealth.
We pride ourselves on helping the ordinary, underrepresented population, and I'm talking about non-ordinary families, the immigrants, people of color, first-generation Americans that have not been taught or have no idea what to do with their finances.
One of our mantras is empowering financial wellness. We have developed a series of systems that start at the big problems and then progressively literally through the years, we end up getting all their ducks in a row.
Every person should have that ability or should be able to make that decision that yes, I can too save for my future. I too should be able to make those choices for myself and my family, and we just help them achieve their financial goals, and we really feel good about it.
Before Bob, there was this sense that I was going to have to rely on other people to help me from now into eternity. My son was just about to turn 3, and his father took off, and we literally had no money, and it was horrible. I was single parenting this 3-year-old, and everything just fell apart. So I felt trapped and stuck and had no vision of anything but what I was in at the moment.
In our talks, we worked at getting light onto those issues to help her feel like somebody that was positive and going forward versus stuck in the mud.
Bob came in and said, we can make a plan. We can come up with something. And that was one of the most critical things at a time where it was really critical for me to have somebody tell me that A, there was a way out, and B, he knew the way out and he was going to help me with that.
Common interests help the retail investor in every finance decision in every phase of their lives. That could be from, goals towards a marriage or buying a house. Before they buy the house, making sure they take care of student loans.
We'll go as far as writing resumes and cover letters to folks who are underemployed or not working now, because that's part of the financial wellness. And you really can't do part of it and leave the rest behind. It doesn't make any sense.
Because I've known him for so long, and because he's seen me through so much, every little success now, he and I can share in a way that I can share with very few other people. I had 2 years in, I finished up my 2 years and got my Bachelor of Arts degree. And then I bought a house. My parents came over here from home in 1958, and I was the first one in the family to buy a home.
She realized that she had a calling. She entered the ministry and was a chaplain at the local hospital and did a real good job. And that started the person she is now, or became. A lot of empathy because of her background. She'd been there. A lot of positive thinking, which was a whole reversal. It really turned her around, and she became the person that she really wanted to, but didn't think she could ever aspire to.
It got easier for me because I kind of had this, what would Bob say? What would Bob do in the back of my head? So yeah, I can't even separate out Bob from my life anymore. It's just not possible. He's intertwined with almost everything that I've ever done.
We want to make access to financial services part of our core mission.
Like, you don't necessarily have to be investing with us for us to be able to help you. There are a few people who don't have enough money to invest, but they just want an ear to listen. They just want to talk.
If somebody needs our help, we want to give it. If they don't have the money, that's fine.
If we can serve and impact someone in a positive way, we are walking the talk.
We don't have to look for business anymore at all. We're getting sometimes 3 to 5 referrals a week. That's because the referrer touted us so loudly and so nicely that everything's congruent. And we've got the ability as a team to handle most things. That's the end result of all that we do. I went to college to become a lawyer. I took a political science course because I thought that had something to do with law, and I hated it. So therefore, law was no good. So I had to come up with Plan B. At that point, I had become acquainted with one of the chaplains on the campus. Coincidentally, it turned out that The Methodist church in the town had a little across the tracks church that nobody wanted to go to. All the ministers couldn't get there because they were doing their big churches. There weren't a lot of people. There were some uniquenesses to that little church, but we automatically made it work. A lot of the trying to make people the best person they can be was developed there. It was pretty easy. I was busy trying to make me the best I could be, so it's not so hard to try to share that. It captured me enough that I went to Drew University Theological School after that, and literally became a legit minister. Out of Drew, at the end of my first year, I got a 3-point charge, it was called. I actually had 3 churches in the Catskill Mountains that were each half an hour away from each other.
He would preach one sermon at 8 o'clock in the morning or 8:30, and he'd preach another one at 9:30 and another one at 11. And we would drive through the Catskills. I would critique the sermon, and it would change from the first church to the second church to the third church.
We budgeted, we fixed, we prepared, we burned the mortgage in one of them. So it really worked. And I enjoyed it. I really looked forward to it. And again, we had a lot of fun and did a lot of good stuff. It just did not fit for the rest of my life. And while I still dealt with the theme of trying to make everybody the best person they can be, there was not enough ways to do that.
He wasn't out very long before the Army caught up with him because he was exempt when he was in seminary. And when they caught up with him was the time of the Vietnam War, and it was pretty much, you're gonna go. It was scary to think that he was going. I think I said, raise your hand for anything that involves anything but carrying a gun.
All of a sudden I was going to Vietnam. When we got in country, in the air, you see all these bomb craters down there. And all of a sudden the light lit, you could almost see it in the airplane. You're looking down there, holy cow, we're real now.
His past seminary and church work put him in perfect position for a position as the chaplain's assistant, which got him involved more in the community.
The idea was to keep the books and be the clerk and be the driver. Well, we did a lot more than that. We really made a difference. The local people were really strong and really supportive. With the GIs that came to us, we really made a difference.
So they needed more space in the chapel, or they needed a chapel, and he was able to pull together people, soldiers of all kinds, to kind of cooperate in building this chapel. And he would use currency from the bar. He would trade booze for labor on this chapel, and then they finally got it built.
He kept trading off one thing for another, and he would get them to work with him, and it was good because he was doing the work also.
That in itself is a way Bob is able to work with a variety of people in a variety of settings to come together with a common mission.
It was really the culmination, if you will, of a lot of good things and a lot of stuff that I had already had packaged and brought with me. I found out that I could do a lot more things than I gave myself credit for because they needed to be done.
Bob had this challenge of purpose where he was working as an executive with an insurance company, and it wasn't serving his needs as far as really tying into his sense of purpose. He decided to have this entrepreneurial seizure where he broke out.
I was 50 plus years old. I had 2 kids in college. So I said, you can't mess this up. The life insurance industry in those days was quite combative. It was like somebody going to win and somebody going to lose.
Bob always sold, or didn't sell, but only sold what the people needed. And if it meant he made $10 instead of $100, he went for the $10 and sold the people what they needed. And then I think he just saw, it's more than that.
I really wanted to be a provider of all the financial services. These days we talk about holistic finances. That's what I wanted to be. That drive really became paramount. At the same time, my personal value system, it really needed to be expressed.
The whole concept Bob had with common interest was it's in our interest as a firm, as well as your interest as a client. We have common interests. We want success. If you succeed, we succeed. And that was always the way of looking at the business.
There was no ESG back then. I started doing that myself, just trying to make portfolios that were not doing bad things, in whatever that meant.
Bob doing ESG investing in 1994 was so early in the movement.
I would show that theme and leave it up to the client. But as the theme grew and I grew, I was a little more pressuring to lean them in the right direction, so to speak.
Bob saw that. He's a pioneer, he's a visionary, and he saw that connecting people with things that were important with their investments was really the key way to get them engaged and viscerally connected to their investments.
Congruence is a big issue for me. You can't have letterhead that says with an eye toward our future and that kind of thing, and be doing investments that are harming. It's the only way to get that congruence going, and we're all better off, so why not do it? And if you really are going to argue, then go find somebody else.
I think in order to get the company to grow, he needed to have other people that could do what he could do and carry it further.
The runway was there, but it was bigger and longer than I could deal with. So it became very clear that I needed help.
He thought, well, a good place to look might be to look within his client base. So he wrote a letter telling his clients this and listing the qualifications and the things that he would like to see.
My drive was to get a kindred spirit, someone who is capable of taking care of the people that we bring in, somebody who really wanted to be part of a team that was driven by looking ahead for all of us.
I was in a meeting with Bob about our annual financial wellness, and at the end of the meeting, Bob said, and I wanted to show you this. And he pushed a piece of paper, 8.5 by 11, across the table and said, I'm looking for an associate. It was basically associate wanted for financial investment practice, and then all these bullets. And as I read it, one after another, after another, I said, Bob, this sounds just like Max.
There was something about Max that made him unique in terms of that list.
Bob took out a napkin and he drew a graph on it. And he says, here's a line. And this line can represent a job. And if you want that, I'm willing to offer you a job. And he drew a second line with a much steeper curve, much steeper slope. And he said, Max, this one represents a career. And if you choose to make this, it can be your career. Because I'm nearing the end of mine. And I'm looking for somebody to succeed me in the long term. I don't know if that's you, but you might be. And that faith, from the first moment where he looked at me as somebody who could be a real professional in this business, gave me the ability to think of myself in that light.
I said, you know, I can teach him how to do what we do. That's easy. He brings to me the beginnings of all the other stuff. And if I treat him well, he will flourish.
Bob basically risked his entire business on things that I was saying. And he trusted me. And it made me pour my heart and soul into what we were doing. And that is one of the most unique things that anybody has ever done, one of the most giving things, and one of the most brave things. And it traces back to that first diagram that Bob drew on a napkin. This can be a job or this can be a career. And it's your choice which one it's going to be. Require a 3-hour research project about this, right?
I'm trying to help them develop and become. My job then is to figure out what they do best and what they would really like to do.
We all share this common thread where Bob saw something in us and gave us the room to run.
He sees the potential in me. And that was one thing that really touched my heart, because not a lot of people from growing up for me has told me that, hey, I see potential in you. He has always been that one person in the back that will scream the loudest, you can do it. He's always been the one that says, I have the most faith in you. He has always been, I will never stop believing in you.
Bob always wants you to do better at whatever you're doing, and he tells me that each week. And he's always trying to push you out of your comfort zone.
They always talked about the possibility, hey Ruth, you could do more. Why don't you get this license here and there? And I always doubted that I was able to get there. But it was by him talking to me and also letting me know, Ruth, you can do this. And he would tell me, look in the eyes and say, Ruth, you can do this. What I overcame was the doubts that I could be where I am now. And it was through his help and his vision. 2020, at the end of 2020, I got my securities at SAM. And then in 2021, I did the Series 7. And in 2022, I passed the 66. That was a challenge. It took me 3 times, but I did it.
It was funny, last night I was doing one of my puzzles. It was a cryptogram where you have to fill in the letters, and it was something that Michelle Obama said. And it was, success is not about the money you make. It's about the difference you make in people's lives. And I think Bob has done that. I think that's been his mission, that it wasn't about the money. It's not always about the money, but it's about how you carry on and help other people to make themselves better. And I think that's what he's all about.
He really kind of altered the course of my life in terms of how I pursued my career. It's just such a great feeling to know that throughout the entire span of me developing that, Bob has been there, not only as my number one champion, but also I'm a client now at Common Interests, because I know that he has my best interest, and he has all of his clients and everybody that's ever walked through the door, he has their best interests at play.
He has impacted my life in such a way that I am more confident today, a more confident woman. My kids are investors today because I'm in the business, and I'm in the business because Bob brought me to it. The impact he has in my life is gonna be heard for several generations, not just my kids, but my kids' kids.
He gave me the opportunity to discover a set of skills that marries my passions with my purpose, with my need to touch people's lives, to go home at the end of the day feeling like I have done work that has made the world a better place, not a worse place, like I'm on the right side of the table. None of that would have been possible without the years of blood, sweat, and tears that Bob spent, the sacrifices he made to build this company. I feel the responsibility. I'm excited to carry his legacy into the future, to take the core, the foundation of what he built, and to build a structure on top of it that is unique in the industry, that can be looked at as an example and a model for how other firms can run.
Bob has absolutely changed my life. And it sounds like a dramatic thing, but what happened is he came into my life at a particular moment where it could have gotten a whole lot worse. And instead, it got better and better and better. And if it weren't Bob, if it were just some guy in a suit, I'd be grateful. But with Bob, I have somebody who can celebrate with me in a way that other people can't.
I've always been at a spot where I'm doing what I need to be doing. Happened in the military, happened all the way through the professional work, life insurance and beyond. I'm a teacher, I'm a trainer. I do that very well. The results are very good. The people blossom and do their best. I can't see me stopping doing that. It's so built in that I'll go chase another rabbit. And I don't know what that means right now, but I know that I'm not going to sit and watch daytime TV.
I think he needs to know, and I hope he knows, that we're all proud of him. We all love him.
We're emotional people when we get right down to it. And you talk about my dad's 80th birthday, and I just love him. Happy birthday.
We love you, Bob, and we are really wishing all the best to you, and with a world of gratitude for all that you've done for my parents and for all that you've done for Joe and I. I just thank you and wish you all the best.
Thanks for taking care of our family. Not only us, of course, but introducing Max, bringing Max into the practice, I thought was life changer for Max and us, bringing him in. That is as big and maybe more so than helping us find our financial footing.
Hey Bob, I just want you to know that I respect, appreciate, and really admire your legacy in an industry that I so love to be in, to be able to help others. And I'm just so grateful to have you as part of the Vanderbilt family and in my life. Thank you.
I'm very thankful to Bob. Just to think that he was thinking about me made a big difference in my life. And I think I've told him before, but I want to make sure he knows it one more time.